August 10th, 1628. The most advanced warship on Earth embarks on its maiden voyage, only to tip onto its side and plunge to the bottom. King Gustavus Adolphus was embroiled in the 30 Years' War. He needed a naval superweapon to dominate the Baltic, and he needed it delivered fast. The result was the Vasa. It was a floating fortress carrying 64 heavy bronze cannons, an armament capacity previously unseen on a single vessel. The ship was dealt to be a symbol of absolute military supremacy. Instead, it became the most public failure in the history of the Swedish Navy. The launch begins smoothly, but as the Vasa clears the bluffs near Södermalm, a sudden gust of wind catches the sails. Thousands of onlookers and foreign spies watched as a mere 8-knot breeze, barely a light wind, forced the massive hull to heel sharply to port. The ship recovered momentarily, but a second gust pushed the hull completely past its tipping point. To prepare for a royal salute, the crew had left the lower gun ports open. As the ship tilted, the ocean poured into the lower decks at an uncontrollable rate. Within minutes, the warship sank 32 meters to the floor of the Baltic, taking 30 lives with it. This was a tragedy that defied the engineering logic of the era, and the crown immediately began a search for someone to blame. A furious King Gustavus Adolphus ordered a special commission of 17 counselors and naval officers to investigate the disaster. They interrogated the ship's captain, Sofring Hansen, who successfully testified that the crew was sober and the cannons were properly secured before departure. Construction had fallen to the original shipwright's assistants, who were working with chaotic, undocumented plans after their master died a year before completion. The builders offered a final, unshakable defense. The king himself had personally approved the ship's final dimensions and layout. The inquest hit a political dead end. Officially faulting the design would mean faulting the king, a line no commissioner was willing to cross. Testimony from the boatswain revealed that weeks before the launch, the Navy conducted a stability lurch test, having 30 men run side to side across the deck. The ship rocked so violently that Admiral Fleming had to stop the test to prevent the Vasa from capsizing right at the dock. This silence points to the authority gradient, a culture where the admiral's fear of the king's displeasure outweighed his own naval common sense. Unable to blame the monarch and unwilling to punish the admiral, the commission officially concluded that only God knows why the ship sank. The 17th century tribunal effectively buried the truth for 300 years, successfully protecting those in power from the consequences of their own decisions. In 1961, the Vasa was pulled from the cold Baltic Sea. The lack of shipworms in these waters kept the hull remarkably intact. Modern archaeologists were finally able to conduct the scientific autopsy the 1628 Commission refused to perform. Workers on the original project used 4 different rulers. 2 followed the 12-inch Swedish foot, while the other 2 used the 11-inch Amsterdam foot, making the entire hull asymmetrical. During construction, the king ordered the ship to be stretched and demanded a heavy second gun deck covered in massive, ornate wooden carvings. The extra weight pushed the ship's center of gravity too high, destroying its metacentric height. When wind catches the sails, the hull lacks the restoring force to right itself. It rolls, and the open gun ports disappear beneath the waterline. The physics show a vessel that wasn't cursed by God. It was a mathematically doomed vessel built from shifting requirements and conflicting orders. These human failures created a pattern now studied by modern engineers and project managers, the Vasa syndrome. It describes a catastrophic failure guaranteed by poor communication, unchecked scope creep, and a culture of fear. The 64 bronze cannons designed to make the Vasa invincible provided the very weight that drove it to the bottom of the harbor. Today, the ship survives as a powerful 400-year-old warning about the cost of prioritizing a leader's ego over physical reality.